There is a profound strength that lives in silence, a kind of sacred power that often goes unnoticed in a world so loud, so quick to speak, and so eager to share every detail of life. When you choose silence, you are not choosing weakness, you are choosing clarity. Because silence is not empty. It is full of answers. It's full of direction, full of wisdom, full of the kind of guidance that only comes when you turn down the volume of everyone else's opinions and turn up the whisper of your own soul. We live in a culture that tells us to speak up about everything, to announce every dream, every intention, every move we're making. Post it, share it, talk about it before it's even fully formed. And in doing so, we often invite noise into something that requires peace. We allow the chatter of people who don't understand, who may not even want the best for us, to seep into the places where we need stillness the most. But silence, oh silence, it is your shield. It is the space where your thoughts become sharper, your vision becomes clearer, and your purpose becomes undeniable. Riding on, when you allow yourself to be silent, you are giving yourself a gift. You are saying, ooh, I am worth listening to. Piding on, my own voice matters. Because how can you hear your intuition when the world is shouting? Confidence is riding on. How can you discover what you truly want when every outside influence is trying to tell you what they think you should want? That's what silence does. It strips away the expectations, the noise, the opinions, and leaves you with the most important sound of all, your own truth. And that truth, it's often subtle. It doesn't come crashing into your life with flashing lights and blaring horns. It comes as a whisper. It comes as that small nudge that says, ooh, this is the path. This is what matters. And to hear it, you have to quiet the outside world. You have to choose moments where it's just you and your thoughts, your breath steady, your mind clear, your heart open. Those are the moments when clarity blooms. Silence also gives you strength in a way people rarely understand. Because when you're silent, you're not wasting energy convincing anyone of anything. You're not explaining your worth. You're not defending your dreams. You're not battling against someone else's doubts. All your energy stays with you, fueling your growth. You're fueling your becoming. Silence is an act of self-respect. It says, I don't need to announce it because I am living it. And when you live it, when you embody it, people can't help but notice. Even if you never say a word, it's as riding on. Think about how nature works. The seed doesn't shout when it's underground. It simply grows quietly until one day it breaks through the soil and everyone sees the bloom. That's how clarity and silence works. You plant yourself in stillness, you give yourself the nutrients of focus and intention, and one day what you've been growing privately becomes undeniable publicly. Now, let's be real. Silence isn't easy. It feels unnatural when the world is so loud, when it feels like everyone else is doing and sharing and saying something all the time. But that's exactly why it works. It separates you. It puts you in a space where you're not competing with the noise, but rising above it. And it's in that space where you find the mental and emotional clarity to make the best decisions, to move with purpose instead of pressure. Sometimes silence will be misunderstood. People may think you're withdrawn, distant, or even cold, but that's because they don't understand that silence is strength. It's choosing to prioritize your own peace over someone else's curiosity. It's choosing to protect your vision before it's ready for the world. And that's not selfish. That's wisdom. In silence, you also learn to listen, not just to yourself, but to life itself. You notice the small signs, the synchronicities, the way life is guiding you when you're not so busy filling every space with words. You begin to realize that clarity isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. It comes when you stop forcing, stop rushing, and simply create space for it to arrive. So embrace the silence. Don't run from it. Don't fill it just to feel busy or productive or connected. Sit with it. Breathe into it. Let it teach you. Because in the quiet, you will hear things you could never hear in the noise. In the quiet, you will discover who you are without the pressure of everyone else thinks you should be. And from that place of deep, grounded clarity, you will move through life with a strength and purpose that no amount of noise can ever shake. A confidence is riding on. There's a moment in life when you realize no one else can walk your path for you. No one else can carry the weight of your dreams or feel the ache of your calling the way you do. That's why focusing on yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary because when you pour your energy into pleasing people, seeking applause, or waiting for someone else to validate your worth, you lose the most precious thing you have, your own power. We've been conditioned to believe that success is measured by how many people approve of what we're doing, how loudly they clap when we win, or how quickly they notice our efforts. But the truth is, some people will never clap, no matter how good you are. Some people will doubt you even when you're doing everything right. And if you rely on their approval to feel worthy, you'll spend your whole life chasing a moving target. That's why you must turn inward and focus on your own growth, your own peace, your own path, because your value is not up for debate and your purpose is not a popularity contest. When you focus on yourself, you start to notice your own patterns. You see the habits that lift you and the ones that drain you. You become intentional about how you spend your energy, who you allow into your circle, and what you give your attention to. You stop competing with anyone else because you understand that your only competition is the version of you from yesterday. And every day becomes an opportunity, not prove something to them, but to prove something to yourself. There is so much freedom in that shift. Imagine waking up in the morning and instead of thinking, what will they ask? What do I think? Instead of, how can I impress them? You ask, how can I grow today? That's what happens when you focus inward. You stop living for the applause and start living for alignment. You no longer need to perform to earn love because you begin to cultivate love within yourself. But focusing on yourself also requires courage because when you stop seeking validation, you start making choices that others may not understand. You might take a path that looks lonely to them but feels like home to you. You might say no to opportunities that everyone else says yes to simply because they don't align with who you are becoming. And yes, people will question you. They might even criticize you. But when your foundation is built on your own inner growth, their opinions lose their power. Your confidence is riding on. There's a story we tell ourselves that being loved by everyone means we're doing something right. But sometimes being loved by everyone means we've abandoned ourselves to keep the peace. Focusing on yourself means you take your power back. You define what success looks like for you. You decide what happiness feels like for you. And you give yourself permission to grow without an audience applauding every step. Because the truth is, validation is addictive. It feels good in the moment, but it's never enough. You can have 1,000 people praising you and still feel empty if you don't approve of yourself. That's why true fulfillment comes from looking inward and asking, well, am I proud of me? Am I growing? Am I honoring the person I know I'm meant to be? When the answer is yes, that's real success. That's peace. And when you focus on self-growth, something incredible happens. You naturally inspire others without even trying because people can feel authenticity. They can feel when someone is walking their path unapologetically with love and purpose. And that kind of energy is magnetic, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you've chosen to be fully present in your own becoming. So give yourself permission to let go of external approval. You are not here to live someone else's dream or meet someone else's expectations. You are here to rise into your highest self, to evolve into the person you know you can be. And that requires focus. That requires putting your energy where it matters. On you. Not in a selfish way, but in a self-respecting way. Because when you fill your own cup, you have so much more to give to others. When you grow from within, you can serve from a place of wholeness instead of emptiness. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means showing up your best self as self for the world. It means you build such a strong sense of who you are and what you stand for that no amount of criticism or applause can sway your purpose. It means you stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself permission to live fully, boldly, authentically. So today, take your eyes off the crowd and put them on your own path. Listen to your own voice. Grow for you. Heal for you. Learn for you. And line and let your validation come from within, because once you start living from that place of self-approval, if you're confident on, you'll never again be at the mercy of someone else's opinion of you. There is something powerful about letting your life speak for itself. When you stop explaining, stop convincing, Stop announcing every move you're making. You free yourself from the burden of needing others to understand what you're doing. You simply live it and let the results tell your story. Actions have a way of speaking louder than any speech, any caption, any explanation ever could. So many people spend their time talking about what they're going to do. They post about their plans, they share their goals, they tell everyone who will listen how big their dreams are. But plans don't inspire people, results do. You don't need to tell the world how dedicated you are. Show them through your consistency. You don't need to convince anyone how talented you are. Let your work shine through. Because when your actions align with your vision, when you actually do what others only talk about, people can't help but notice. Living this way takes discipline. It's easier to talk about a goal than to quietly work on it every day. It's easier to announce what's coming than to keep it private while you put in the time, the energy, the sacrifices. But when you choose action over talk, something shifts inside you. You stop needing validation every step of the way because you know what you're doing behind the scenes is building something real. You learn to be proud not just of what people see, but of what they don't see, those late nights, early mornings, hard choices, and moments of doubt you overcame in silence. And here's the thing, people forget words, but they remember impact. They may not recall every promise you ever made, but they will never forget how your actions changed something, whether it's your life, your family, your community, or even just one person who saw you and thought, if they can do it, so can I. That's the kind of legacy actions create. But why is it so tempting to keep talking? Because talking gives an instant hit of satisfaction. It feels like progress when we tell people our big plans. But it's empty progress because talking doesn't move the needle, doing does. When you stay quiet and focus on your actions, you move from dreaming to doing, from wishing to becoming. And in that shift, you build trust with yourself. You begin to know, when I say I'll do something, I will actually do it. That self-trust is priceless. Sometimes your silence and dedication will confuse people. They'll wonder why you're not sharing every detail. They might even think you're not doing much at all because they don't see it. Let them wonder. Because one day, your actions will reveal everything they need to know. One day, they'll see the business you built, the skill you mastered, the health you transformed, the dream you made real, and in that moment, no explanation will be needed. Think about how nature moves. The sun doesn't announce every sunrise, it just rises and the world notices. A tree doesn't make noise while it grows, it simply roots itself deeper and reaches higher, and suddenly, it's undeniable. That's the power of action. That's the beauty of letting what you do speak so loudly that you don't have to. Choosing this way of living also protects your energy. When you stop talking about everything, you avoid unnecessary opinions, doubts, and negativity. You give yourself space to grow without interference. You create an environment where focus thrives because there's no pressure to perform for anyone else's approval. You're free to make mistakes, adjust, and grow privately, and that privacy gives your dreams a stronger foundation. And then, when your moment comes, when all that hard work finally shows, it will be powerful not because you talked about it, but because you lived it. People respect what's real, and nothing is more real than the quiet grind that leads to undeniable results. So stop worrying about convincing people you're on the right track. Stop explaining why you're doing what you're doing. Stop needing them to understand every step of your journey. You're not building this life for them, you're building it for you. Focus on the steps, the habits, the decisions that move you closer to your vision, and let everything else fall away. Because when the dust settles, it won't be your words that define you. It will be what you've done, who you've become, and the life you've created. And the best part, you won't need to say a thing. The results will speak for you, and they will say everything you ever hoped to say, louder, clearer, and with far more power than words ever could. There is an incredible strength that comes when you learn to protect your energy, when you choose to keep some things sacred, private, and away from the eyes and opinions of the world. Not everything needs to be shared. Not every plan needs to be explained. Not every dream needs an audience while it's still in its delicate, growing stages. There is power in holding certain things close to your heart and allowing them to grow in silence. When you practice discipline and protect your privacy, if you create a kind of focus that most people never experience. Writing on. You're not distracted by comparison or swayed by what others are doing because your energy is centered on what you are building. Discipline means showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is watching, even when there's no applause waiting for you at the end of the day. It's doing the work because the work matters, not because it's being seen. Privacy, on the other hand, is your shield. It's what keeps unnecessary negativity, doubt, and judgment out of your space. When you keep your goals private, you give them room to breathe and take shape without the weight of outside opinions. You give yourself the freedom to fail quietly, to adjust without criticism, and to succeed without interference. And in that quiet space, your dreams can grow stronger roots. There's something almost sacred about having a goal that only you and maybe a select few people know about. It creates a sense of intimacy between you and your vision. You're no longer performing for anyone else. You're building for you. Writing on. And that kind of intention creates momentum. It creates resilience because you're not distracted by watching or who's not clapping. You're focused on what matters, doing the work step by step, day by day. But let's be honest, discipline and privacy don't come easy. We live in a world that rewards oversharing, where it feels like you need to announce everything to prove that you're doing something. Is writing on. Yet true power often lies in the things no one sees. It's the early mornings when you choose to work instead of sleep in. It's the nights when you stay committed to your vision instead of giving in to distraction. It's the quiet decisions to grow, to heal, to push forward when no one is there to cheer you on. That's where real transformation happens. And here's the beauty: when you combine discipline with privacy, you create unstoppable momentum. Every day you build a little more strength, a little more clarity, a little more progress. And because you've kept it protected, nothing and no one can sabotage it with doubt or negativity. It becomes yours and yours alone until it's strong enough to stand in the world. This way of living also teaches you self-trust. When you're disciplined, you learn that you can rely on yourself. You become your own accountability partner, your own motivator, your own cheerleader. You no longer depend on other people's encouragement to keep going because you've built an inner drive that carries you. Fidance is written on word. Privacy helps strengthen that drive because it eliminates distractions. You're not performing, you're growing. You're not explaining, you're executing. And every action you take in that focused space becomes an investment in your own strength. People might not understand at first. They might wonder why you're so quiet about what you're doing. They might question why you're not sharing more, why you're not constantly visible. Let them wonder, because one day the results will show and they'll see why you chose to keep it private, why you chose discipline over noise, confidence riding on. They'll see the power of staying focused and protecting your energy, and they will respect it even if they don't say it out loud. Discipline and privacy are also about self-respect. They say to the world, this is my life, my dream, my growth, and it doesn't need to be validated by anyone else. You honor yourself by committing to your path and protecting it until it's ready. And in doing so, you build something far stronger than if you had rushed to show it before it was complete. The truth is, power doesn't come from how loudly you move. It comes from how consistently you move, even when no one's looking. It comes from staying true to your vision and choosing to protect it until it's ready to stand tall. That's how you build something unshakable. By keeping your focus pure and your energy guarded, letting discipline be your fuel and privacy be your shield. One day, you're quieting on. You'll look back and realize that the quiet, disciplined seasons were the most transformative. Those moments when no one else could see your progress, but you were still showing up. That's where your strength was built. That's where you became unstoppable. And all of it started because you made a choosing to stay disciplined, to protect your privacy, and to pour your energy into what truly matters.